we're gonna start streaming here, and I'll be like, okay, gotta put it on your hat.
No, I don't want to.
Put your hat on.
No,
you got a nice haircut.
I don't cut my hair. My hair's so nice.
Well, I know when your hair is longer.
Okay.
Get it on your idiot hat. Okay, there we go. Hey, everybody, welcome. You're so unhappy. Party Rock is here, and Grumpy Rock is here.
I'm P-Rock.
P-Rock.
Not party, but P party.
That's right.
Let's do a P party.
No, let's not do that. Welcome to another Watch It Played live Q&A extravaganza. I expect there'll be problems, because there's been problems leading up to the start of this. We ran 2 tests this afternoon.
You're wearing your glasses underneath those glasses.
I know.
I just realized.
Extra Party Rock. So, the tests, we were trying to get the audio to work. It's probably going to be a little bit out of sync. It might be wildly out of sync. I don't know, and I can't do anything about it right now because the show must go on. So hopefully...
Well, before we go on too much, maybe we should make sure that we're getting...
audio and all the rest of it. Yeah, good point.
Maybe they can't even hear us.
No, you're right. Okay, so looking here, it seems like... Well, I don't know. No one's written anything yet, so I'm not sure. Hopefully, everything's going okay. All right. It looks, and remember, we're going a little bit of a delay here. So you keep an eye on that. I'll start talking, and we'll catch everybody else up on what's going on. You let me know if you get any indication that things are not working, because from all accounts here, we've been live for a minute. So let's do this.
I see audio and video up.
Okay, great. Thank you, friends. I'm trying to get the. Where is our little... There it is. There's our chat group. All right, everybody. So why are we dressed up like this? Because it's fun.
I really don't know. It's actually a mystery.
It is a mystery to them. So I was recently at Essen for the Spiel, which is in Germany. And while I was there, I obtained these glorious hats, which I love They're kind of... Look, I don't know the exact history. I was, of course, taught all of it by my good travel guide, Joe Knit. And he insisted we buy these. So this is a little bit of a tribute to him. These are also his glasses that he wore famously throughout the entire trip. Oh. They say Party Rock on them. And so it's a little hello to Joe. I'm going to take these off, but these are the Party Rock glasses. And I do kind of love them. But, put them on, Pep. It feels like a party when you're wearing them, don't you think? He wore them all the time with that written in front of your eyeballs. You get used to it after a while.
Oh, yeah. It's not too bad.
Anyway, these we call the idiot hats. But during Oktoberfest, sometimes people dress up. They put on some of the traditional garb, and these are some of those. We don't have to wear these the whole time, Pep. We can take off the hats now.
Oh, now it's on. I don't think I want to take it off.
You can leave it on. No. All right, so let's get into it. I have a couple of questions here that came in from people on our guild at Watch It Played. Of course, you guys can feel free to put questions as well in the comments. Put a nice all caps, what did we say to do?
Question.
Right, put question in all caps. Before your question, it helps us find your question when we go back through to see what you want to ask about. We also have a little game/activity set up here as well that we'll get to. The first question that I had was from, I turned it off so you can't play it.
I noticed.
the first question I had on the Watch It Played Guild on BGG was from Liz Howell, who said, what was your favorite non-gaming experience in Germany? And also James Wood had a similar question. What was the highlight of Essen Spiel? Rather than go through the details of that, what I might suggest is you check out the blog that I posted daily. I haven't done a blog. Have you done a written blog before?
I haven't. I thought about it, but I don't know if I'd have things to write about every day.
I know that was the thing. I was very fortunate in this particular circumstance. I had something to write about every day because I basically did a sort of a personal journal every day of this trip. So for anyone who doesn't know, before Essen Spiel, I was traveling with Geek Nation Tours with Joe Knit, the travel guide there, and we were sort of mapping out a plan for a potential trip in the future to invite people along with us on, right? So every day I sort of kept a record, took pictures of what we did and what that experience was like.
Yeah.
And so if you do a little Google search for Joe and Rod and Essen Spiel and trip, it should come up. I could probably put the link in the description below, but in the meantime, you can Google that, and it will come up with a list. And the very first post within that blog entry gives you links to all the other entries. So you don't have to go page by page through the thread to find all the stuff that I added. But if you'd like to see some of the crazy things we did and the fun we had there, you can see it in that way. Liz did ask, though, what surprised you most about your trip? And I wrote down 4 things that were particularly, I guess, surprising or notable about the trip. One thing was customs going into Germany.
Easier.
Oh, so much easier. I mean, wildly easier. The trips that you and I make when we have to go through customs is usually to the States.
Yeah, and I make it through fine, and then you get detained for probably half hour.
Yeah, have you ever had an issue?
No.
I've had issues for years. I think, and I've said this before in the live show, I think there is a Rodney Smith out there somewhere who's been up to no good, and I think has been flagged in some way, and so because my name is Rodney Smith, it flags me. But anyway, I was prepared. Going into Germany, I did not want to get turned around at that point. There was a long trip waiting for me back home if this didn't work out. So I had all kinds of documents and paperwork to show everything I was doing. And I was nervous because I don't speak German. I was like probably a little bit of a flop sweat going. I'm hauling the papers out of the bag. And I'm trying to okay, I'm going to this for a week trip with Geek Nation Tours, and then and the guy's just like, I don't care, just get into the country, basically. So he's like, just go.
In Canada, you're fine.
He looked at the passport, he said, just get in here, you're fine. So that was a treat, and it was just sort of, it was just kind of made you aware again of how far we've gone the other direction around security and things, just compared to other places. I mean, it wasn't always like that here, but now it is. Paying for the bathroom. You familiar with this?
No. You have to pay for the bathroom there?
Not everywhere, but not at home. If you live in your home, you don't have to pay. But
25 cents.
25 cents. I really gotta go. I got no change. It was kind of like that in some places, because if you wanted to use a restroom at a mall or at a restaurant, sometimes they would have one of three things. They would either have maybe an attendant, someone who's actually physically standing there, a little dish beside them for you to drop in like 5 cent euros or whatever. Or
that's more of a tip.
50 cents, I should say.
That's a tip.
It's an expected tip.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like an expected that's why the person's standing there, because they expect you to do it. They did have some where it's just the plate, so it's kind of an honor system, and then other times they actually had a machine. Oh. And it was a little weird at first. But being there for 2 weeks almost, by the end of it, I was like, I guess this kind of makes sense. We're using toilet paper, we're using water, we're using soap. All this stuff is costing money. Yeah. So this way they hopefully recuperate. And I will say the bathrooms are all very clean. So I felt like, okay, it's being used for something. But that was a surprise. So if you go to Germany, or I guess I don't know how far this extends in Europe, but you might want to have a little extra change rattling around in your pockets in case you need to go use the bathroom.
It's funny. That reminds me, I don't know if anyone out there plays Roller Coaster Tycoon. It reminds me that at some point, whenever you build bathrooms, you can put a cost to them. So you can be like, it costs you $1 to use the bathroom. Yeah, and I always thought that was weird. I'm like, why would I ever
this is a real thing.
Charge people for the bathroom? But apparently it exists.
Yeah, and it was weird. It did feel like, well, this is strange. But you can see how once you head down that path, society would just fall in line with that eventually, Hotel bedding. This was a curiosity for me. Because
your hotels had bedding there.
Well, what hotels have you been staying in? You had bedding? Yeah, it was really, look, I have a little pet peeve. I don't know if I've expressed it here on the show before, but in North America, anyway, most of the hotels you go into, the bedding is strapped in tight. Do you know what I mean? Like they're putting you in an insane asylum. Like everything is in so tight. Like if you were to put your feet in the bottom of the sheets, there'd be no room for them. So they're pointed downward. The first thing I do when I go into a room, I rip the bottoms of the sheets out. I don't know who this bedding is for.
It's for me. I love that.
You love that?
I love being tucked in. It feels like I'm 10 again.
What do you do with your feet?
Well, they fit in the bed. What are you, Sasquatch? Do you not fit in the hotel bed?
No, I guess I want them to be up a little bit or free to move around.
Oh, I see.
A little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's so.
I lie sideways.
You're sideways.
So my feet are pointed this way.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that would make sense. It would have less of an effect. Anyway, for me, it was crazy. Well, listen, Germany agrees with me 100%. In fact, I would say Germany went maybe a little far in the other direction. I walked into my first hotel room.
I'm worried.
And there was just a duvet cover. It was folded in such a way that it didn't even go over the sides of the bed at all. Like there was no sheets. There was a sheet on the mattress, but there was no sheet to get underneath of. How would I explain it? It'd be like if this was the bed, and here is the sheet on top of it. It didn't even go to the edges. So you open it up, you unfolded it, and then of course it would spread over.
Gotcha.
But there was no tuck happening there. There was no tuck.
No tuck.
I loved it. Thank you, Germany. Thank you for. I don't think you did it for me specifically, but I appreciate it.
It would be really funny. I assume you went to more than one hotel. But it would be really funny if it was just the one hotel that did that, and now you're just like, Germans all have their sheeting on top of the bed.
No, I did get to stop many different stops actually along this trip. Every day we were somewhere new. So I did get to see it was a pretty consistent thing across the board. All right, the last thing I'll just mention that was kind of a notable thing is we had a day sort of dedicated to Oktoberfest on this trip. Oktoberfest is not in October.
Oh, yes, I remember reading your blog.
Yes, I did a little blog entry about that. It's actually in September. And I love the reason for it. It was originally in October, But if you decide to do something on an ongoing basis, a yearly basis, and it's sort of like the cooler time of the year, you might go, you know what? I know the spirit of this is we started in October, but maybe we should just move this back to September so we're not all outside freezing while we try to celebrate Oktoberfest.
That's fair.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty sensible. Very, very efficient. Anyway, so it was a fantastic trip overall. I won't belabor the point. I have a couple other things about Essen in here, but I recorded a bunch of video, and my hope is to compile that and present it later as here was the trip, kind of a video blog, if you will, of that. So you can check it out if you're interested.
A vlog.
A vlog. And I do hope that people will consider coming on this trip. This was the Geek Nation tour for Essen. I was invited to be a special guest, and I have to admit, I didn't push it very hard. It was a very expensive trip, and I hadn't been on it, and I felt some personal reservation about what am I really encouraging people to do here? What if it's a terrible trip? I'd feel horrible. You know what I mean? I already feel bad. So potentially recommending a game to someone that costs $30 and they might not like it. So a big trip like this, well, I can say now, like very confidently, what an incredible trip it was. I mean, it was a trip of a lifetime, for me anyway. So I think it'd be something that people would really enjoy doing, and we're going to craft it even further, be more of a more sort of gaming-packed, adventure-packed trip. So. Yeah. Liz had another question. She was on a roll here. What game did you learn about at Essen that you were most excited to play? Now, I've been blah, blah, blahing a lot. Were you following at all any of the games coming out of Essen? Was that something that you were paying attention to at all? I know I'm catching off guard.
It wasn't, no.
See, it's funny because it wasn't really for me either. I felt like after Gen Con, I still had like a ton of Gen Con games to think about. I wasn't really actively thinking about what other games are coming out. Do you know how many games released at Essen?
7.
You're so close. Oh, so close. You're just off by about 1,100. Anyway, it was, I think, 1,200 games released at Essen. So it's ridiculous. Now, obviously, a lot of those
new games.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
newish,
I suppose. I mean, some of the games I saw there, I would have seen at Gen Con as well.
Oh.
So maybe for Essen, they counted those again. But either way, apparently 1,200 games were presented or represented in some way there.
Wow.
And that is pretty incredible. Obviously, most of those games probably won't have a long life. They won't stand the test of time or whatever.
Well, that'd be insane if they did.
We would have no room on the shelves anymore, right? But
these are the 1,200 games from this year. Here's the 1,200 from the year before.
What kind of shop would that be, right? It would just be like an incredible skyscraper. Each floor would be a different year of games. Yeah. No, it was pretty crazy. Anyway, something else I should just mention as a notable thing. I have to admit, going to Gen Con, or not to Gen Con, to Germany, I did kind of have maybe blown up in my mind this notion that everyone in Germany plays board games. Like, as a North American, I kind of felt like I've been conditioned to think Euro games came from Europe. This is a place where gaming is much more normalized than it is here. Here, it's always Monopoly and Risk, and that's what people think of. But there, it's more commonplace. It may be more commonplace, but I certainly got my share of, so is that like Monopoly or Risk? Like we were in the hotel and we'd set up London, 2nd edition, and the waiter came by and went like, what version of Monopoly is that? It's like sincerely he meant that. Like I don't think that game looks anything like Monopoly.
No.
But we
had, really hoping you were going to say Risk. It's like, that looks kind of like Risk. It's like,
no, we were in that hotel for 3 days, and he continued to call me the Monopoly guy for the entire trip, which was delightful and fun. But I will say about Essen, the amount of diversity I saw in the attendees definitely rivals anything I've seen in North America. Like the ratio of men to women, old to young, just across spectrums like that, and people from all over the place. I mean, in Europe, there's countries closer packed together, whereas like against the U.S., it's like 2 countries. But there was a lot of countries represented there, nationalities and all the rest of it, and it was really. I didn't notice it at first. It just felt very comfortable and normal. And I looked around, I was like, wow, this is so different than what I see anywhere else. And you'll see some of that in the video footage and pictures that I took. But the question from Liz was, what game did I learn about at Essen I was most excited to play? So I didn't know a lot of games going into it, but there's 3 games I'll just quickly mention. So Necromunda was a big one. Necromunda, people may have heard me say before, was my first miniatures game. It was kind of my first love in that genre, and they've released a new edition. Games Workshop was demoing it at Essen. I had a chance to go there and take a demo. I'm very excited to talk about that game more a little bit in the future. But anyway, that was very exciting. Stuffed Fables. I took a demo in of Stuffed Fables. This is from Jerry Hawthorne of Mice and Mystics fame and Tail Feathers, and with Plaid Hat Games and now Asmodee. It was, I think, my favorite.
No. Say you already started saying.
I'm not gonna rate the game. I'm just gonna say it was my favorite demo. Like the experience of the demo was fantastic. I mean, maybe the game was garbage. Who knows? But I really enjoyed the demo I had. Anyway, Stuffed Fables. I'm very keen to get a chance to try that more fully because I just played one of the scenarios and there's just loads of them in the game. But yeah, that was very exciting. And then Fog of Love. I think. Did you see my copy of Fog of Love?
I gave it to you.
Oh, you gave it to me?
Yeah.
Oh, you brought it home for me, didn't you? Yeah, in the luggage from Gen Con.
Yeah, it's in your house somewhere.
Yes. No, I didn't mean have you seen it, like where did it go? Just have you seen the game, but yes, you have.
Yes, of course. I thought you lost it. It's like, Rodney,
where is it?
What have you done?
This is a really interesting game because it's, by the depiction of the cover, you sort of see the silhouette of a man and a woman, and look, I've seen enough Kickstarter-related games about relationships and stuff. I tend to lower my expectations down to like, this is going to be some kind of after dark, appealing to the lowest common denominator kind of thing, right? And it doesn't seem like that at all. It looks like it's very much about relationships and crafting a relationship with another person. Looks really fascinating. So that game, I didn't get a chance to play it at Essen, but I came home from that going, I need to get this game to the table. I'm very curious about it. So yeah, those would be my three main games. Any games that you just kind of want to play that you haven't had a chance to play lately? Forget Essen, forget Gen Con, just anything that's sort of been hovering around your table?
You know, I would love to say that there is, but I don't think so. I think I've pretty much covered.
What have you played recently, like a game group in that?
I played a lot of Massive Darkness.
How far in the campaign of that are you? Are you playing campaign?
Yeah, we did play the campaign. I think we're about 7 missions in.
How many are there?
12.
Okay, so you're like over half. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of slowed down. We played a bunch of Dragonfire, which is also behind you.
That's another campaign.
How many other games can I just point at that are back on this shelf?
Anyone who's wondering, it's not an optical effect. These are Boeing. These shelves are
mostly this.
That one there is looking like it's one of these live shows. You're gonna have a really exciting live accident that's gonna happen when this collapses and lands on us.
I finally get to play Bring Out Your Dead. I don't know if that's actually in frame. Oh, it is.
Oh, really?
Just barely. Yeah.
I'm noticing that the screen is a little bright. I'm gonna try to bring it down a little bit here.
Well, while you do, we can get some questions from the actual chat. Amanda Pando wants to know, what was your favorite food from Germany?
I really enjoyed schnitzel. I think that was my favorite. Schnitzel was my favorite.
Of course.
It's still stereotypical, but I really, really liked it. I mean, it's like a thinned out meat, like pressed and then breaded or whatever, and it just, yummy. But I really enjoyed a lot of the food. It was kind of a food explosion. It was just, and it was big servings. It was kind of like being in America again. Like everything comes in big servings, lots of food. The beer was fantastic. Yeah, it was.
Did you bring any home?
I didn't bring any food. Well, I
meant beer, but
no, I didn't. Stroopwafels, though. I got several packages of Stroopwafels, and they're fantastic. I am a little addicted. They're very, very good.
Oh.
Yeah. So, any other quick questions there before I jump back?
Oh, there's a whole bunch. Clay Pizzjala wants to know if you've ever played Conan and if there's any plans to do an instructional for it. I can answer the plans for instructional. We can't say.
Why can't we say?
Because we don't like to pre-announce videos, just because we don't want to cause disappointment in the future. But it's always a possibility.
Right, because sometimes like we might go, hey, yeah, we're thinking about doing this game, and then a schedule thing changes, or I decide, no, I want to do this game instead. And then disappointment happens. I just don't like to cause that. So I avoid pre-announcing, so sorry I can't leak out any information about
And have you played it, though?
I have not played it, though. I do have a copy of it, but I have not played it. I'm going to answer one quick thing here. Vincent Vignola asked, since Essen is not a game, we want opinions about it. And so I will just give a quick summary. My opinion on Essen was I really, really enjoyed Essen Spiel. It was a kind of a spectacle of a convention, but very different than Gen Con. People are always going like, which is the bigger convention? I still don't know how to answer that question. They released the numbers. It was something like 182,000 attendees, but those are not, as I understand it, those are not unique attendees. So, for example, I went and I was there 4 days, so 4 tickets. They stamped me 4 times. So I'm counted as 4, I believe, in their system.
Okay.
So if you, obviously, there's not everyone there went the full 4 days, but if you were to divide that by 4, you'd have a much lower number, right?
You'd probably more accurately divide it by 2.5.
Yeah, like if you divide it in half, for example, you'd still be at like 90,000, which is bigger than Gen Con, but again, I don't really know how to count that because I believe Gen Con does turnstiles or not turnstiles, but like unique attendees.
It does, yeah.
They'll report that.
From what I understand, it does.
Anyway, it was a very big show. Saturday was packed, but even then, like I kind of jokingly went out to the hallway and spun around with my arms out, like you could do that. It wasn't like you were walking like a penguin, but that is in part because the space is so big.
Yes.
The halls, it's massive. There are multiple halls within this convention. I think there's 8 halls in total. They don't have all of them open, but that's a great thing because it means as this show continues to grow, which it is doing, they have room to expand into, whereas Gen Con is kind of running into places to
Well, sort of, but that being said, Gen Con this year, it felt a lot more roomy than it did the years before, just because they opened up the new areas.
They opened up some new areas, and I believe they might have capped the attendees.
I think they did, yes.
Right?
Because, they ran out of tickets.
Right. So, anyway, but that's, And let me just bring up this here.
Next question, G Club.
But yes, I would love to come back. Love the convention.
Yeah.
I loved the convention. I love the atmosphere of it. I think if you had a chance to go, maybe with Geek Nation Tours and me next year, you should take it. No, I really think it's an excellent convention. Well run and everything else.
Well, here's a good question since we're talking about your opinions on it.
Yeah.
If you had to go to either Gen Con or Essen, you only got to do one. Only got to do one. Which one would you do?
I will tell you
and they cost the same.
Oh.
No matter what, they cost the same. Would you go to Gen Con or Essen?
This is very difficult. This is very difficult for me. Okay. I would pick Essen Spiel, and I'll tell you here's in part why. And this is a little bit of a cheat. Essen Spiel was an excellent convention. So that's it's already on the good books there.
Yeah.
But also I don't get to go to Europe and that part of the world very often. And there are other conventions, for example, if I gave up Gen Con, I could instead go to like other ones in North America.
That's true.
And this is such a unique experience. And I have to say, as someone who's doesn't natively speak German, whatever, I still felt very comfortable. Everyone was super nice. It was easy to get around. I didn't feel like a foreigner, quote unquote, although I definitely was. And the show itself it had a really exciting kind of unique energy. And you're seeing a lot of games that you don't see at the other conventions. I mean, a lot of those 1,200 releases will never come over to North America, so that's exciting. So, yeah, if I had to pick between the two of them, I would pick that. That's not a knock against Gen Con, although it is kind of sort of. Germany was awesome. I really I enjoyed the parts of Germany that I saw. When I was there, I kept getting messages from people, we have barely even seen all of Germany. You should come to this part of Germany, come to that part of Germany. And I know there's all kinds of awesome places I never got to see. But we only had so much time and so much gas and so much money. So I think the parts I saw, I just fell in love with. Absolutely. Okay, so listen, I got one question left here on this Essen thing, and then we can move from it. Dick Rensima asked, will you attend Essen next year? I hope so. I don't know if we'll be running the Geek Nation Tour next year or maybe the year after that or what will happen, but I would love to be able to return. I definitely would go back, that is for sure.
Maybe I'll try to come too.
Yeah, I think you'd love it. I think you would. I think you'd find it phenomenal. All right, so that was the Essen Spiel stuff. Should we maybe answer a couple more questions?
I think so, just to catch up a little bit. G Club wants to know, what was Pep doing while you were gone?
That's a great question, Pep, and I think that's one you can probably answer.
I think so. I was doing a good bit of relaxing, maintaining videos. We had worked on a couple things before Rodney left, so I was maintaining, posting them on a schedule. And I was going through comments and answering questions, updating some old information. Like we have spreadsheets for some of the old videos, so updating some of the information on that. Old indexes and videos, just the comments on videos.
That's a good point. Like there's a lot of sort of behind the scene things that most people won't see as actively happening that Pep's taking care of. Like one of the things that you did do early on when you first came on full time this season was you updated all of the thumbnails. So we had a consistent thumbnail format for all the stuff going all the way back, right?
That was really good for me because I'm a little OCD.
Yes.
So, and you know this from working with me, but so seeing all those thumbnails, and there's some new ones, there's some kind of newish ones, and there's some older ones, and it's just stressed me out when I'd see an old thumbnail. It's like, why isn't this the new one?
And while you did that, you created an entire Excel spreadsheet of every video on the channel and indicated which ones are missing clickable indexes, if it's a tutorial video, which ones maybe are duplicates. We have a few hidden videos as well, so those were like flagged in certain ways. So yeah, there's been a lot of stuff like that happening. And while I was away, I know you were actively helping out in the comments. Now, normally, I'll just make mention of this. When you get comments from Watch It Played, up until, I guess, that week, 100% of the time, it's been me commenting on them.
Yeah.
You did step in. I asked you to step in and help out with that because knowing I was going to be away, I was going to get behind. And there was a few comments where you're like, well, Rodney, this one's a little more personal, or it's a little more involved. I'll leave this one to you, but other ones, you just kind of like were helpful and just answer people's questions if they had rules questions.
Yeah, sometimes they're as simple as, thanks for the channel. I really love your content, and that's easy enough for me to answer. You're welcome.
We appreciate that. Yeah,
we appreciate that. But yeah, sometimes there was comments that were either, where did you get that watch? And it's like, I don't know that. Or just very in depth. Like, I really love your show, and they would just break down everything they love and all the things you do, and it's just like, even if I were going to answer that, I would want to make sure that you also read it to get the appreciation of that.
So Pep's been very invaluable that way behind the scenes, just keeping everything running. And also, I mean, we released a video that you had done a tutorial for while I was gone too, right? What was the name of it?
Sakatsu. Someone commented on the video on that too, that I pronounced it wrong, and it's because when I first played it the first couple times, I think whoever I was playing it with or whoever showed me the game, I think they might have pronounced it wrong.
Right.
And so it's stuck in my head that way.
It's the only way I've ever heard it. Sakatsu.
Sakatsu.
It's the only way I've heard it.
Or I think I might have pronounced it as Saketsu.
Or Ketsu, yeah.
But I think it is Sakatsu.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Whatever way, I just think it's an easy thing to sort of mess up. It's not the sort of thing we like to mess up, and we usually
we do usually look
every
those up ahead of
time we've got a name of a publisher or designer or whatever. We will try to. I've even asked publisher, can you just send me a recording of you saying the name so I can hear what it's phonetically supposed to sound like? We do take that pretty seriously, but if you think you've got it right and you don't know what's wrong, then it's harder to check for it, and you don't think to check for it, right?
Yeah.
But I should mention, speaking of like these questions we're doing, I did activate something called Super Chat.
Super Chat.
This is a feature that YouTube has, which allows you to monetize the chat. There's a little like $sign towards the bottom of the chat. No one should at any point in time feel obligated ever to click that button. It does nothing to increase the odds of us answering your question.
Do you have it activated, or do you have to click it to activate it?
Well, no, it's activated, but the person would have to click it. This is like my ability.
I don't have that option.
I don't know if you can do it under mobile. Maybe you can't.
Oh, maybe you can't.
I'm not really sure how it works. I don't know, but if it's a way, if you do want to pass along a little tip, a little financial support to the show, you can certainly do that with a super chat. I said it won't increase your odds of being seen in the question, but that's not quite true because it's a big box that sits there for a while in the chat. So it does increase the odds that we will see your question, I should say. All right, so that's super chat. I was even thinking, I was talking to Pep about this earlier, if we do gather some money through Super Chat, maybe we can like do some kind of like sharing thing. We give a certain amount to a charity of some sort, and maybe the rest can go towards helping to support the show or future things we might do on the live show itself. I have another little newsy thing here.
Do it.
All right. Steve Wren had, well, it's actually a question that came from the guild. Steve Wren had asked, what are you most looking forward to at PAX Unplugged? Pep, what are you most looking forward to? Rodney being gone again.
I'm looking forward to not going.
Yeah, well, the upside of this is I'm going to PAX Unplugged. The downside is I'm not going to BGGCon, which I love that convention. Unfortunately, they were held at the same time. But I'm really looking forward to PAX. I am going to be going there. What am I most looking forward to? I have no expectations except that I've never been to any kind of PAX event. So I'm kind of curious to see what that's like. This will obviously be unique because it's geared towards gaming specifically. But I'm going to be running a couple of, I guess, tutorial sessions. They've invited me. There's a learn and play room that they've created, okay?
Nice.
And it seems like the sort of place you'd probably stick Rodney in. So, for example, on Friday, November 17th from 12:30 to 3 p.m., we have a little thing called Game Night 101. And there's going to be 3 games, and I'm going to teach them. Kokoro, Sagrada, and Downforce. Kokoro is kind of like Avenue, but that's hard to get here, but it's been brought over to North America.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yep.
And Sagrada and Downforce. So we're gonna have there's room for, I forget exactly how many people, but I think it's like 10 tables, 4 people per table, potentially like 40 people or so. There'll be copies at every table, and I will sort of live teach the game, and everyone can play as they go along. So the idea here is maybe you're new to gaming. Maybe you don't know what games might be fun for game night. Maybe you'd like to see someone teach it and kind of get comfortable with it. This is a way for you to kind of have that experience. So it might not be of interest to you if you're already like an experienced gamer or whatever, but maybe if you haven't played these games, it would be. So consider checking that out.
And you have videos for 2 out of 3 of those, right?
I do, Sagrada and Downforce. Yep. Exactly. And then...
Any plans on Kokoro?
You know that we don't answer that question. Okay, from 3:30 to 6 p.m. on Friday, we have what's called an intro to strategy game. So the difficulty level is going up a little bit. So we have King Domino and The Godfather Corleone's Empire. So quite a difference there between the two of them.
Yeah.
But I think with King Domino, it's sort of like a quick primer to get us going, and then we can dive into something a little heavier. Both, though, offering like some interesting choices, hopefully, around strategy. Saturday, November 18th, from 10:30 till noon, we'll have card game warm-up, and it's going to be just some light card game activities. So we're going to do Fuji Flush, Sushi Go, and For Sale. And then 12:30 to 3 p.m., Game Night 101 again, Koro, Sagrada, and Downforce, in case you didn't miss it, in case you missed the first one, or it just wasn't a good time for you, or we're filled. We have no idea. I have no idea how these will be attended. Maybe no one will show up, maybe a bunch will show up. My hope is just to have a good time. And this room, in the times that I didn't list, will also be run by other people. Like I think a couple of the guys from Shop and Sit Down will be there doing some games as well. I think maybe Mandy, maybe Suze are going to be there doing some tutorials as well in a similar kind of vein. So anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to most at PAX, is kind of having that opportunity to meet a bunch of new people, teach some games, and then also browse around the hall. I should say I'm leaving a little early for PAX Unplugged, and I'm having a little fun. I'm flying to Boston to meet up with Matt Evans from Board Game Replay, my good buddy, and Marty from Rolling Dice to Take Names is flying in as well. Keep in mind, Boston is not where the convention is, but that's where Matt is. And then Matt was going to drive anyway. So then we're going to all drive road trip style over to Philadelphia. We're going to go to Jamie Kager from the Secret Cabal's house. We're going to crash his place, and we're going to have a slumber party there, games and food and foolishness for let's see, we're landing. I think we're landing there on a Wednesday, Thursday type of deal, and then we're heading over. Then we'll all drive. Jamie will drive us all over to the convention. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure on their respective podcasts and things, you'll hear about that. Maybe on a future live show, I'll discuss some stories. But I'm really looking forward to that. So those are some good friends I'm looking forward to seeing. Yeah, that's probably one of the things I'm most looking forward to at PAX. But then I'm sure PAX will be great as well.
Yeah, I really liked our Gen Con road trip we did the first year.
Yes, it was a lot of fun, right? I mean, it takes a little longer, but yeah, a lot of time cramped in the car, singing songs. We even played some games. I'm looking to play a couple games. I'm going to take Sherlock Consulting Detective with me and see if we can maybe solve a little mystery on the way there. But yeah, so we got some more questions in here that we need to.
Yes, Drake Finney wants to know, when are we going to play Star Wars Rebellion together?
Oh, me and Drake? You and Drake?
No, you, Drake, Mark, and tons of others.
Okay. Well, there's no immediate plans. I could just fall back on that whole we don't pre-announce things, do we? It was one of the little fun stretch goals in the last season's fundraiser we didn't quite get to. So maybe I'll save that for a future year. Maybe it'll never get done. Who knows? Maybe no one will ever be able to play that game.
Or some rebels will have to break into the studio and record it.
Record it, yes, that's right.
Charlton Chu wants to know something similar. When are we going to do a Whistle Stop how to play video?
Yeah.
Again, can't say.
Whistle Stop I haven't played. I've heard lots of great things.
I've heard good things too.
You haven't.
I haven't played though.
Yeah,
no.
yeah. So I'm keen to try it. And I don't. Have we had a Bezier game on the channel before? I don't think we have.
No, nothing. Well,
I'm just going through all the werewolf games, and I don't think we've had any of those on.
I think we've at least had a Bezier game on
Colony. We had in one of our come and play.
In one of the come and play videos, yes.
For GTS, but not like a full tutorial playthrough type of thing. I'd like to. So you know what? That might be a good fit. We'll see. I would like to talk to Bezier soon about that.
Joshua Freeman wants to know, why did the playthrough/play-along videos start to trail off?
This is a great question.
That's a great question, yes.
Who is that from?
That is from Joshua Freeman.
Well, Ryan Ballinger had a similar question. And this is a question I do get on occasion. So just to repeat again, sometimes people will write me and they'll ask, seems like we're seeing lots of tutorial videos and fewer gameplay videos. What's going on? Is the show changing or evolving? The way Ryan wrote it was, I was wondering about your take on how the channel has evolved since it started. How the channel began first with every game that was featured having its own playthrough. Now it seems about 1 in every 5 games might get a gameplay series. It feels more like watch it taught now instead of watch it played. Do you feel this was a necessary evolution of the channel? And so I want to talk about that a little bit because I think it's a perfectly fair question for a viewer to have. They've been watching the show for a long time and they feel like there's been a shift or something. If there has been a shift, but it might not be in the way that you think. In our very first year of the show, we featured 10 games that we did a full playthrough of.
Yep.
And last year, we had 10 games that we did a full playthrough of. So one could make the argument that we've been very consistent. First year and last year, we've done the same number of games. And that's fluctuated amongst the years in between. I think the most we ever did was 15 during a year. So we've been relatively consistent in terms of how many games that we featured, but there was definitely a transition year. In 2015, I think it was. Yeah, it was. Andrea, well, she left the house. We kicked her out. No, she went to Japan, and obviously she was a big part of the gameplays, having Andrea there to do that with me. And then Luke, who was also a big part of the gameplays, he got older. And so he's now much busier. He was then and still is much busier with school and other extracurricular activities. That definitely caused a lessening of the gameplays.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to pack up the show. I loved doing what I was doing. So I started taking on more tutorial videos because that's something I could do on my own. And regardless of what people like or don't like about the show, there's no question tutorials definitely get more views than the gameplays. Like by a long margin.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that the gameplays aren't a valuable part of the show. I'm just making a comment about in terms of what people seem to want to see on the show. There's certainly the tutorials seem to have a particular value. But in that 2015 transition year, the total number of episodes, not games we featured, but episodes that were gameplay episodes, was about 23. That was a low point. But then Pep came on the next year, and in 2016, it shot up to about 43. So we doubled how many gameplays we were able to do because I had Pep Power. I had Pep Power to back me up. So my hope is that trend is sort of back to where it's about going to be. The main difference is not that we did less gameplays so much, just that we did more tutorials. And so with more tutorials, it feels like percentage-wise, we're doing fewer gameplays. And we are percentage-wise doing fewer, but not necessarily doing fewer in terms of actual content being produced, if that makes sense. For me, it's all about kind of feeling it out. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, there's no mix that's going to be good. I've done little surveys before. I get feedback from people. Some people say, because at the end of every year, before the fundraiser, I'll ask, what do people think about the year? And I get lots of feedback. And I get
year in review.
The year in review. And I get more tutorials, less gameplays, more gameplays, less tutorials, more product previews. I get like the whole gamut of things from people. Everyone has their own unique thing, and no one's wrong. Whatever you like is what you like. There's nothing wrong with that. But I have to kind of make a judgment call on what I think is good for the channel or good for me in terms of my own. Because I love teaching games. I really do enjoy teaching games. But the gameplay is a very important part and fundamental part of the show. So that's not going anywhere. And like right now we're doing a gameplay for Sagrada. And I think I'll just sort of wrap this up with one other little comment. I wanted to give a little time to this. And that's why I put it in here. I'm glad it was brought up here. Just because I think it's an important topic. Watch It Played is kind of an interesting animal because if you tune in to Watch It Played and you see a gameplay for a game like The Gallerist, for example, and you have no interest in that game whatsoever, you just don't watch it. And so then I think for that viewer, subconsciously at least, there's maybe like 4 or 5 episodes of gameplay that don't exist.
Yes.
Like when they think about the year of Watch It Played, they go, well, I only saw like about 5 gameplays because I only cared about 5 particular games, even though we actually did a lot more than that. But that's the nature of the show. I don't expect people to watch our show like they would watch like another YouTube entertainment show where you tune in for everything. Because obviously, if we're showing a game you don't have an interest in, you're not going to watch the tutorial video for it maybe, or you're not going to watch, maybe you just don't care about the news and updates videos, or maybe you don't care about these live shows. You pick and choose kind of what you want to watch. I know, it's true though, some might not. But either way, that's kind of, again, hopefully in the long run, over the span of an entire year, even though there might be dips and valleys in certain types of content, hopefully overall we're kind of striking the right balance. Hopefully, for most people. I mean, that's the best you can try to do, I think. Hope that answered your question, Ryan, and your question, Joshua. Hopefully that was helpful in some way. And one last thing. The reason why I know all those numbers, why I can sort of rattle them off, is because we actually, again, keep that spreadsheet. Because even I sometimes go, like, how many games did we feature this year? And I'm able to go to the spreadsheet and go, oh, actually we did the same as last year, or we did a little more than last year. And the only reason I'm able to know that is because we have the numbers to sort of back it up, the hard, cold facts, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. Originally when I made the spreadsheet, it was basically just so I could figure out what things I'd done the thumbnails and info updates for, which I hadn't. So technically, once I was done, I could delete it. But then I was like, oh, this is actually useful. I'm just going to keep this updated. Yeah,
it's been very helpful. All right, that was a big one. So maybe we should. Oh, you know what? We should take a little break just to play a little game because that's what we're doing a lot of talking. And maybe I hesitate to call this a game. You guys can let me know whether you think this is a game or not. But I saw this at Essen Spiel. I'd seen it before this, but I saw little kids at the table playing this, and I'll admit I felt like a little bit like a dork. But I kind of would just stand by, kind of hovering. Me and Joe, kind of hovering there. He was wearing his party rock glasses. and waiting for the kids to leave the table so we can pounce down here and try this thing out. So this is Fantastic Gymnastic, I think is what it's called.
Gymnastics.
If you've seen the bottle flip challenges, try to flip it and land it flat. It's basically that concept here, except we have a toy. Now, I'm going to make this look a little easier than it might be for some people starting out.
I have a lot of practice with this too, yeah.
My first time doing this, I couldn't get the guy to spin it all. Now I sort of don't even think about it, it just happens. The idea is you want to get him spinning, and then there's another button, and there's Velcro here on this plate and on his feet, and you want him to land standing up.
Stay up, yeah.
And there's also little score tracks depending on where he lands. I did not manage to land. Do you want to give it a shot here?
Sure. Have you ever played games like QWOP or QWOP?
No.
They have a similar kind of aspect where it's timing to make them walk, run, jump, spin, etc.
Oh, okay. Usually you want to get them doing at least 1 or 2 loops and then launch them. And so there's a button to spin them. He went the other way.
I went the other way.
Fly off this way.
I did a backflip.
That was pretty good. Now there's no way at all for you guys to play along here, unfortunately. But we are going to maybe just do a couple more times each, just see if we can maybe.
We'll come back to it if we don't succeed.
Sometimes he doesn't want to let go. He's like, no, I'm not letting go. I don't trust you, Rodney. Come on. Almost the tip of his foot.
All right, one more try for me here. All right. I always like to get him back level before I start.
Me too. You can kind of just knock him to get him going. That doesn't feel like cheating a little bit, right? Ooh. Yeah, he stopped at the top there. Oh, another good flip though. One more time each, and then we'll move on to the question. See, this is the problem, right?
You can just do this for hours.
I can now just do this the whole live show, which would be terrible. Just come on. Face plant. You didn't even try.
All right.
I have done this.
Believe in you, Bradley.
Luke is getting really good at this, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Pretty consistently, you can do this.
Oh.
I think you got him point.
I did something weird there first.
He was very confused. All right. This is it. I believe in you. Wow,
I get an extra flip. I have to slow him down a little.
We'll come back to this. I'm not giving up. We're going to get this before the end of the live show.
That's the deal. We can't stop the live show.
It's not the deal. I'm just saying.
The deal.
It will happen.
It's a deal.
All right. We'll see about that.
Pinky swear on it.
No, I'm not doing that. We'd be here all night potentially. All right, do you have a couple more questions here? Because I got more things here, but I'll do some live stuff here.
Coco Shake wants to know if we're going to Cmon Expo 2018.
They have announced that. I haven't talked to them about it. I haven't got any firm plans. I didn't go last year. You went last year.
I went last year.
Yeah, and did some fine reporting from there. Took a lot of pictures that we shared on the Twitter page and so on.
The Twitter page.
All right, Grandpa. Settle down. Settle down, Sonny. Yeah, I don't know. There's a few trips I know are happening next year. But you have to be careful. There's too many trips. I gotta stay here and make videos too. The trips, hopefully, when I go on them or when we go on them, are in some way helping the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of the trips, some of them hopefully are for fun. I hope that somewhere in my year I get to have some fun too. But some of these trips, the idea is to be pushing the show forward, getting it in front of more people, making some more good contacts. Some of these conventions I've gone to have allowed me to meet some publishers that I wouldn't otherwise have done so, and that's created some really great opportunities for the show to feature certain games. So yeah, Cmon Expo would like to go. I really enjoyed it when I did before. We'll have to see.
Coco Shake also wants to know if we have any suggestions for that particular trip. It's gonna be his first con with his wife.
Okay. That one, I think, there's not a lot you need to know in advance. It's a very laid back.
It's very laid back, all kind of in one room.
Yeah, it's not overcrowded. So I think they're going to have a library of games there. I think you can bring your own games if you want, but of course they'll have lots of Cmon games as well. I think more than enough to probably keep you pretty busy. I would say, if you're into just playing a whole bunch of different games, it might not be the best convention because it's very Cmon focused.
It's very Cmon oriented.
But you can certainly
Cmon is a good spread of game types now.
That's true. So there's lots whether you're interested in miniature games or just a Euro game of some type or party games, they've got all that stuff in their catalog anyway. Yeah, that's a good question. I have a question here from B-Rad who asked in the...
B-Rad!
B-Rad wants to know, do you ever put much thought into how you roll the dice? In other words, you shake them up like this, one-handed. How do you do it?
Just as aggressively as I can.
it's true. And I have some opinions about how Pep rolls dice. It's not the aggressive shaking. It's how you let them go.
Yeah. I roll them and just kind of...
No, you do a thing where you flip them like this, right? You flip them this way. Your hand opens up away from your body, and the dice, unsurprisingly, fly away.
Yeah, I need to play craps, I think.
Yeah, you should be playing craps. You should be a professional craps. Because they would put a wall there, too.
They need to double the height of the wall, though, or else I'd be hitting the dealer with the dice. Would you...
Can you just sort of stand flush against the table, so if I do hit you, it bounces back in? I was thinking about this because I don't think I put a lot of thought into it when I'm playing games, aside from I try to give it a good audible shake before I roll. So the other people I'm playing with know I'm not up to any funny business. Just a subconscious thing I think about, like, someone might think, oh, if you don't do a good roll, are you trying to get a certain amount, right? But
that being said, if people agree with that the sound is good and you want to cheat, what you do is you use something like 2 fingers to hold the dice you're trying to cheat with in one part of the hand, and you let the other dice shake with the other part of your hand. That way you can both cheat and make that obvious.
This is not what we do here. We don't teach people how to cheat. Cheaters are jerks. It's a pretty good tip, though. I think on the show, I definitely try to do that. Try to give some kind of audible sound of the dice before we roll them, or show them being shaken.
It just feels good, too, doing it on the show. Yeah.
Especially when they land in the dice tray and don't fly off the table.
Yeah, there's a little trick, too, that learned over the years where you kind of roll the dice backwards almost a little. Like, whenever you go to roll, you kind of roll them that way.
So you're rolling as they're falling.
They roll as they fall, but it's that way they kind of land flat. Almost like backspin in golf, where like you do it and they'll kind of roll, and they might tumble back this way a little bit, but they won't. When you roll like this way, they catapult forward. But if you roll backwards, they like hit and bounce and then they stop.
I want Jeff Engelstein to do one of his Game Tech episodes on the Dice Tower podcast where he breaks down like percentages or game theory. I wanted to do one on rolling dice and how you roll dice. Does it make a difference? It'd be interesting to hear. I'm sure someone's a study somewhere.
It's been so long since I told this story, so most people probably don't remember it. But at one point, I rolled my entire dice collection. Do you remember this story?
No.
I rolled my entire dice collection to see...
You mean like you're in... Oh, yeah, I do remember you telling me this story.
Every single day. I rolled every single dice 100 times to see what the odds of particular rolls were. And I categorized them. I wrote them all down and graphed it all up and everything.
I'm so glad you have work now.
Yeah, and do you know what I determined from all that testing?
Go on, what'd you find out?
That it's pretty much just random.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You didn't uncover any like major fallacy of it. So
no.
Like chess dice, they're always weighted to the at-5s or something.
No, that being said, there were a couple dice that were a little bit like, oh, maybe this one rolled like 10 20s out of 100. Yeah. And so the ones that rolled really well, I did keep and use those a bit more.
What?
But I'm pretty sure there's no actual...
You can figure out which ones would give you the better odds? My goodness, you're a devil.
No, it's like the whole idea that certain dice just roll better. Like,
because they're weighted?
No, it's not weight. It's the spirit of the dice.
Oh, I see. Their destiny.
It's destiny.
Oh, brother.
I might have actually rolled all the 20s out of that. That's a popular thing people have with dice is that if you like, roll a bunch of 20s, then you roll the 20s out of that dice.
Yeah, you've spent them.
Yeah.
You gotta like, get to roll the
There's
ones.
700 20s in every D20.
That's it.
Once you're on out, you just crush it.
When did you do this?
Oh, it was like 10 years ago.
Okay, good, because your collection of dice has grown a lot.
Yes. That was back when I had like 1 to 200 dice.
Oh my gosh, that's still a ridiculous
It's
amount
scary
of dice.
now.
Yeah, it's scary. Oh, speaking of dice, this is a great segue. I don't know if I've shown these before, but this is a little meeple character that was created by Emily Detmer, and she has an Etsy store, and she sent this along. She actually had like a little meeple figure that she made as well. But this guy's, he's kind of special because look at that. He's got the Watch It Played figures on there. That's pretty cool. But he's also got a little opening here at the top, and his brains spill out, and you can put dice in here. It's a little Watch It Played dice bag here, as well as this little figure that you can just kind of like put on a shelf or something as a little display item or whatever. So I want to thank Emily for sending that along. And listen, if you'd like to check out her Etsy store, where you can get this and a whole bunch, she's got a beholder bag as well, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
I'm going to put a link. It's Critical Hit Design, and you can look for The Art of Emily D, just the letter D at the end. But I'll put a link in the description below after this is over, if I remember. I'm sure someone will remind me in the comments.
You'll remember.
If you'd like to check those out. Thank you, Emily, for sending those along. That was really cool. Neat to meet Emily and her husband, John, at conventions, and hopefully you'll see them again in the future. Yeah.
Cameron Zafar wants to know, what was your favorite place in Germany other than Essen?
My favorite stop. That's kind of mean. See, I have so much trouble picking favorites because I feel like I'm saying, well, this other thing then is not as nice. And all the places I went to I really enjoyed. But Look, the thing that it was really cool to go down the Rhine River. We did a little river cruise down the Rhine, and we played. So one of the things we tried to do on this tour was find games that sort of matched thematically in some way to that day's travel, and then play them on location. And that wasn't something that was done in the original rendition of this tour, but that's something Joe and I really wanted to work on trying to build into this. Let's create gaming experiences in these really cool places that we're going, not just at the end of the day when we're back at the hotel, right? And so we brought, this may sound a little funny, on the river cruise, we brought Ticket to Ride, a game about trains on the boat. But, to be fair, there was a train track that ran along the outside of the Rhine. But it was the Germany edition, which also, the Deutschland edition, so that also made
It's kind of just that you're traveling in Germany, it's a German Ticket to Ride.
And it was kind of cool because the different locations that we were seeing, me as someone who's not from Germany, all these locations like, oh, I've been here, I've been here, I've been here. This all meant a little bit more to me because I knew the locations better. But that was really cool. But the sort of single mind-blowing visual thing that I saw was probably the cathedral in Cologne, that it was just massive. It's hard to describe. I was a little worried taking pictures and photos. I mentioned this in the blog, that I'm spoiling the trip in some way. Someone will read the blog, they'll look at the videos, they'll read or whatever, and they'll go, well, I've seen it all, I don't need to go on the trip. Wow, no, I'm not worried about that anymore, because the places that I went to, all of them, is such a different experience being there and seeing it. Sort of like mountains. I remember seeing lots of mountains as a kid, but I don't live near mountains. And then the first time I was actually in the presence of mountains, it was like it was breathtaking. Yeah. It was like mind-blowing, the size and magnitude of it. You can't get that scope.
Waterfalls are the same way. Like seeing a waterfall or just like hearing it on TV, it's one thing. And then when you're there and like you're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet away, like thousands of feet away, and the mist from the waterfall is still hitting you.
It's kind of incredible,
and the sound is just like this dull roar in the background. It's amazing.
And that's what this trip was like over and over and over again. You know, seeing these things that maybe I'd seen in pictures or had in my back of my mind as sort of like stereotypical or expected kind of vistas and that, but to see there like in person, the vineyards and everything, incredible. But yes, this cathedral in Cologne, massive. The craftsmanship that went into that, just unbelievable. You could not look at any one square inch and not just kind of be amazed at it. And it just went forever and went up forever. And we climbed to the top of the spire. Well, not to the top of the spire, but way up into the church. And it was really just very, very cool. But honestly, every stop of the way, when we landed in Munich, all the way through until we arrived in Essen, every stop had something that just kind of blew my mind, or a piece of history that was fascinating, something to sort of be caught up in. It was really, really, really fantastic.
A similar question by Horst de Il. Anyway, the question is...
Hey, Horst. He was helping us with the live chat earlier today.
Yes. The question is, what is your favorite place for gaming in Germany?
Okay, well, probably the favorite place to play a game was probably when we played Castles of Mad King Ludwig in the shadows of one of King Ludwig's castles. That was kind of surreal, right? Yeah. We're playing this game, building a castle, and right there is the castle that we just finished taking a little tour through and walking around, taking pictures. It was, again, like that's the kind of experience I want to try to create on this tour, that people can go do this cool thing, see this cool thing, and then play a cool game and do it in that location and kind of feel the history kind of bleed through a little bit, and also just have fun and then have some cool food and drinks or whatever. It was, that was probably the coolest pairing of all the ones that we did, I would say.
I really hope that whenever they do send people to Mars, that there's at least one gamer in the group, so that he takes first Martian,
terraforming Mars
with him, and then you'd be like, look, I'm terraforming Mars on Mars while terraforming Mars.
That's the next Geek Nation tours, right to Mars. We'll plan it all out. By that time, there'll be lots of Mars games. There's already lots of Mars games coming out, but those are a couple of great
Mars
ones.
Attacks.
Mars Attacks, yes. That's wow. You got any other questions here for us? Because I got more I can bounce over here.
Yes. Sad Zero Happy wants to know, what are your guys' must-try list of games right now? I'm going to limit us to 2 each.
Okay, well, I kind of already spoiled mine earlier. So, I mean, my must-try, I want to do Fog of Love. Very curious about that. I just bought the second season of Pandemic Legacy, and that's arrived at the house. But right now, I am playing through the Charterstone campaign with Christy and Luke. So we're going to wait until we finish that before we break open Pandemic Legacy.
My must-try is Charterstone.
We can just make this real simple.
I know.
I can hear your bird chirping in there. Anyone's hearing a little chirp in the background, it's just, you're not going crazy. It's just that
be loud in there. Yeah. But yeah, Charterstone, I very, very much want to play Charterstone. And
well, I'll probably just lend you my copy and we'll flip it over. We can buy the charge pack.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And then you can just play it that way.
And then we'll have the double side. I
Double
like that when it's done, you can play with either side now.
Yep.
That'd be pretty cool.
So Charterstone was 1. Do you have a second?
Oh, do I have a second? Yeah, my second would be I very much want to play actually Fabled Fruit.
Oh, Fabled Fruit. Yes, you've been waiting a long time. So I started playing Fabled Fruit again with my wife and son, and we got a good way through, and then we just got stalled out. We kept doing other things. We played Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and other stuff, and we haven't come back to it. But I keep saying, no, I'm not giving it to you yet because I just want to finish. I know there's a way to save the progress and sort of reset. Yes. Oh, no, there isn't. No, there isn't. There's no way for me to save it and reset it. No, there isn't at all. But there's a part of me just like, I don't want to go through the hassle of that. I just want to finish the thing and then pass it off. So
that's fair.
I will try to hurry up with that. I realized I missed a really good segue earlier because we were talking about going to Mars, and Gary Pope had asked, would you prefer to be launched into space, but obviously return, or go as deep as humanly possible in the ocean? Ooh. This is easy for me.
Yeah?
Easy. I'd way rather be launched into space.
Oh.
I think maybe space fascinates me a little more. Obviously, there'd be a lot of potentially really cool creatures and things you would see in the ocean, whereas in space, there's a lot of vast empty areas. I suppose you could go a long ways and not really see a whole lot. But I think space fascinates me more.
This is a hard question because it's not specific about how far into space you're going.
No, not really.
So let's assume you're going to like the moon or Mars or somewhere that we normally would be able to go. But the ocean question does specifically say as deep as humanly possible into the ocean.
Yes.
Now, that's where it gets interesting because
how deep is humanly possible, I wonder,
well, that too. But there definitely are things in the ocean. Like we've only explored, I think, 25% of the ocean or something really low.
I knew it was low, but I didn't realize it that low. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
there's lots there hiding.
But with space, like we can see like most everything in space. Like if we look, you know what I mean? Like if we look at Mars, we know what Mars looks like all over the entire planet.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen it.
If you pick one point in space, you can observe it.
Yes. Well, technically, they're constantly looking with telescopes. We can see like anything in our galaxy. We have a pretty good grasp on. We're not just going to suddenly be like, "Whoa, where did that giant space station come from?"
Well, you don't know. Could be hiding behind one of those planets.
It could be. But in the ocean, there's actually the potential we could find some really strange stuff down there.
That's true. Both are going to provide mysteries. There's no question. I think I'll go into space. You want to go? We're just going to.
I'll go into the ocean.
Oh, cover our bases. Okay. There you go, Gary. We're going to cover it all here. You get another question there?
Definitely. Marcus Roth wants to know, if you come again next year to Germany, what would you do differently?
In terms of the tour, for example, we're already talking about maybe compressing a couple of the days into let's instead of having these 2 days, let's pack them into one, because we'd like to bring the cost of the trip down overall and maximize kind of the fun that we're having in each day. Yeah. There really wasn't much time we were just having downtime, but we were doing a lot of the driving around to things, and we were probably taking a few detours as we checked things out that we wouldn't do once the tour is locked in and formalized. So yeah, I mean, that's one thing. In terms of what I would do differently, though, I would say I would probably try to learn a little more German in advance. It was never a problem, but I just felt like a dumb English person because the Germans could all speak English or some level of it, and I was really kind of not there.
Yeah, you hit me up with a little German.
I learned a little bit, but really
Can you? Just something.
Well, the very first thing Joe made sure he taught me was, Ich kann kein Deutsch. In other words, I cannot speak German. And then you might follow that up with something like, Sprechen Sie English? Do you speak English? So they might be able to have someone help you out if you're having a little bit of trouble. Ich bin Rodney, which means I'm Rodney. What else did he taught? He taught me, Ich bin in Halifax geboren. I was born in Halifax. The nice thing about the German language is, like, geboren. There is, and I'm not rolling the R properly. There's a lot of little things you have to do.
You've been doing a lot of them, though.
Well,
you're
some
good
of them,
at that.
some of them. Yeah. But geboren, I'm missing it there. But anyway, the point is geboren, born in. I was born in, geboren. So because I think Germanic languages, they share certain things. Some of the words you look at and go, I think I know what that means.
Yeah.
But German words definitely feel longer. And the way they pronounce certain letters will trick you because they look like an English letter, but they're not. And it sort of explained to me why sometimes you hear, again, the stereotypical German pronunciation of English words, their W's will sound like V's. It's because their W's, that's how they pronounce them, with a V.
That's how they pronounce
them, know? And so I had to learn that when I saw a word, switch how I wanted to say them. Anyway, that is something I would like to do. I would like to learn a little better my German, and my English apparently, because that was a terrible sentence structure. But I'd like to learn a little better my German the next time I go, just so that I can have a few more of the basics down to be able to communicate better.
Makes
but
sense.
The problem is you don't use it, you lose it. I'm not gonna have a lot of opportunities to use German during the rest of the year, but I'm gonna try.
Amanda Panda wants to know, which convention would you bring Luke to if money wasn't a problem?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times people will ask me at a convention, "Oh, you didn't bring Luke?" I go, "Well, do you have a spare $2,000 in your pocket?" Because these trips are not cheap, right? Of course, I understand people don't mean it, that way. But if money wasn't an issue, probably Gen Con, because I think it would be the biggest spectacle. Okay, no, I would be tempted to bring him to Essen again because he's never been to that part of the world, so that would just be kind of its own interesting exposure. But in terms
do you think he'd enjoy all the different things that you would enjoy when you go to Essen, though? Like, would he get as much enjoyment out of Essen that you did?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's things about Essen that would make it more appealing because it wouldn't just be gaming. Because when we went, especially when we did the tour, it'd be seeing like going to a cool castle and doing all those kinds of things would be exciting. Like Luke enjoys games, but I want to game all the time, and Luke wants to game some of the time. I'm the one who's probably more obsessed with the hobby by a long shot compared to Luke. So I think with Gen Con, he'd have the spectacle, and that would be kind of exciting, even beyond the games and that, and going to all the different booths and the artist booths and seeing all the cosplay. All of that would be really, I think, cool. Whereas Essen Spiel itself, as a convention, might not be as appealing as the convention part of it.
But the fact that it's in Germany and a lot of interesting
that
things.
Would be cool, especially if my wife came and if she wanted to take him on around and do some touring while I'm doing the convention-y stuff. I think that would be an appealing fit. I'm just gonna just do this because I'm in the zone here. See how quickly you got going? Oh, I knew it! I just could feel it. There it is.
25 points.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I think I might have blown up the mic there. I got kind of excited.
I have to see if I can match this.
I think you can. I think this is the right time. He's limbered up. He just wasn't warmed up before. You know what I mean? He needed to be warmed up. And now I want to see you get even more points. Oh, you got the extra flip though.
I know. I don't know what's going on with that extra flip.
Here, go again.
Again?
Yeah, go again. Because I feel like you've got it in you. This is it. Because I want to see you get like the 100 points. See, that little platform it lands on is sectioned off into 3 areas: 25 points, 50 points, and 100. Dead center is 100 points. Oh, this is good.
Yeah, it's good. I got like an extra half flip.
You did. Maybe you need to tone it down a little bit.
Maybe. I don't know if I can do that.
I know.
I get excited.
You go full pep.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back to that and give you another chance. No. Gotta take a break.
The Dice Matrix.
Yes.
What's the best meal you had in Essen? These are all Essen questions.
Well, I don't blame him. I think I'm gonna go back to the schnitzel. I really enjoyed that. Currywurst was also very good. That was excellent. What else did I enjoy? We went out to an Italian restaurant. I think it was in Worms, and it was, very good as well. It's slipping my memory right now what we ate at the restaurant. Sorry, I'm a terrible foodie that way. But it was really good. Something I didn't do was take pictures of my food. I really should have. I don't think of that because I don't often do that. Joe was over there snapping pictures of every plate that we ate, pretty much. I should probably steal those pictures from him. So
I often think of it halfway through the meal.
It's it's a mess. It's all eaten through and chewed up. It's not such an attractive picture at that time. I should just say quickly here, something else with the trip. Joe Knit was fantastic. It could have been terrible. Joe and I had never met before this. What I mean?
That's fair.
If we didn't hit it off, that could have been a pretty difficult 2 weeks. And instead, really, it was a treat. He was, first of all, a consummate professional. He could have treated this like, well, there's only one guy here. I don't have to really work, quote unquote. And I felt like he was putting work in the whole time. At the same time, we were having a great time chumming around in that. Very knowledgeable, very friendly. And again, I feel like, I can come back from this and go, oh, look, we went on this tour. If Joe's running it, it's going to be a good time. And so people are going to be educated in that. And he's someone who says, look, I'm not a gamer. And he's not by definition, I suppose, if you want to take the hard and fast, unless you have X number of games in your collection, you're not a gamer. But every game he played, he was up for, he learned, he won a number of them. And I don't agree with his assessment that he's not a gamer. I think he's definitely a gamer and a fun guy.
He's got it in his heart.
He's got it in his heart, definitely.
MM wants to know, besides German, could you tell me what the other most prevalent nationalities were? Because you talked about that kind of a little bit.
Oh, the problem there is I don't think by sight I could tell you.
Especially when it comes to like all the different European nationalities.
And unfortunately, I'm not even educated enough to know exactly what the closest countries are around there and who would be from where, and to be able to pick out even styles of dress or things like that. Like, I'm not even sure I would know how to do it. Good question.
That's fair.
It'd be interesting to kind of know what the breakdown was, but I don't think I'm the guy to tell you that. I'm going to do a question here because I only got 3 left from the actual guild, so that's great. Jonas Grumby wrote, what is the status of the gaming marathon? I recall you said you were having audio difficulties on the live content. What's the word on that? Are you getting new audio equipment or fixing the old? Well, first of all, apologies to everyone who's expecting that gaming marathon. I definitely want to have it done by now. One of the problems has been the equipment. I think we're still having that issue here a little bit, although it's much better than it was this afternoon, I believe.
I did see a few comments occasionally that were just, it's a little off, but it's tolerable.
Because earlier today it was like a lot off, a second, sometimes 2 seconds. And I'd like to eliminate that. It does seem like if we wanted to do a really good professional live streaming type of thing, I'd probably have to invest in some much better equipment. So I think to fulfill the promise, I will just work with what I've got. And hopefully, because most of the time we'll be spent on the table, like we'll have a camera doing a headshot probably with a table as well.
Yes.
But if the focus is mainly on the table, you won't really be as keenly aware of the audio distinction. One of the people that I want to do the live show with, you of course, and another of our friends, Chris, he contacted me recently and just said, hey, just so you know, I'm still interested in doing the live gaming marathon. So that's fantastic. I apologize, guys. I really dropped the ball here in terms of getting this done. Sometimes it's a challenge figuring out where should I put the priority. Should I put the priority on doing this gaming marathon, which is a stretch goal, or on doing the core content of the show, which is sort of what people donated for in the first place?
Stretch goal.
So we will do our best to crank this out. Again, when will it be? I don't know, but it will get done.
Tomorrow.
Jeez. No, it will be tomorrow. But hopefully not too much longer.
Drake Finney wants to know, are those Sheena off to the side? They are indeed.
Yes.
I don't want to go any more into detail than that.
Okay.
Oh, I was hoping you'd jump in with the next question. Oh,
I've got another question here. Andrew Gores writes, Rodney, how often do you play games with your family? I'm finding it difficult to make it the desirable choice for family recreation. Do you have any suggestions? So, Andrew, this is a great question. It's a challenging one here because if you're a gamer, if you're the gamer in your family, let's say, you're the one who's maybe the more passionate one about it, and you'd like to play games with your family as a family activity, but they're maybe not as excited to do it. You're like, hey, guys, you want to play a game tonight? And no one sort of jumps up and goes, yeah. You just kind of go like, well, we could do that, or like there's a show we could watch instead. What do you do? What do you do? I've definitely had that reaction sometimes in my household as well. I mean, there's the biggest tip I would say, it's hard to, because I don't know your history, I don't know your family dynamic. Sometimes we can turn our families off of gaming if we brought to the table games we wanted to play as opposed to games they were going to want to play. And I think that's the biggest tip I have is really, as much as you want to play that game you really want to play, find the game that they're most likely going to want to play. Maybe you're into really heavy Euros and they have no interest at all. In fact, they just want to play dumb party games is not what I meant. Party games are not dumb. But I mean something that's simple, something that's easy to play. Yeah. And you're like...
Dumbed down.
Yeah, but even then, I don't like that word. It's not that party games are dumb. And you're not dumb if you play them. So it's a little bit of a minefield there walking around that kind of terminology. But hopefully you understood the spirit of what I was saying there. And they want to play that. Then play that.
Yeah.
Because what is it you're looking for? Is it that you want to play the gallerist, or is it that you want to play games with your family? Because if you want to play games with your family, then you need to play games that your family wants to play. Now, I'm not saying that's your particular challenge, but I'm saying that's something to keep in mind. I know for myself, I had put a few different games in front of my wife, for example, and I knew she liked word games. I liked them but didn't love them. Scrabble was not a game I wanted to play.
I love Scrabble.
Yeah, you love Scrabble. So it wasn't one for me. I found some word games I did like that she liked. I went out of my comfort zone and found something like What's My Word, for example. But then I also found themes. Theme was a big thing. I found themes of games that my wife enjoyed, and that made her more interested in the rules and sitting down and playing them. And now I would say, actually, Christy's, up for gaming more often than not when we sit down as a family activity, which is great. Do you have any thoughts around this? I know you don't have like a family local here that you're trying to push games on, but I suppose this happens
No, I mean, I do try to play games with my father, and I originally started off playing Axis and Allies, and I mean, we both had interest in it, so that was good.
So we have the theme going there.
So we have the theme and the mechanics, and so whenever I started getting more into gaming and trying to bring those games to show him, it was a lot easier trying to bring games that were similar and had a similar feeling. Right. Like trying to get him to play a Euro, for example, was a little bit like grinding teeth because he had never played something of that feel before.
Right.
Whereas trying to sit down and play another similar kind of war type game was a little bit easier. He'd played some card games and things like that.
More in his comfort zone too, right? He probably felt like, okay, I kind of get what this is.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier, like you said, to play into someone's comfort zone. And I find that happens with just gaming with friends and with my local game group too, is that you just, whenever there's only certain people there, you know what their comfort zones usually are, and you try to cater to that. Like you said, don't bring out party games for people who really want to play serious games, and don't do the opposite. Yeah. If you get 8 people who show up that really want to play, something like Werewolf, play Werewolf. Yeah. Like I don't want to play Werewolf all night, but I mean, if 7 other people do, why not?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I mean, sometimes you have to create other spaces for yourself. So like, okay, my family will never want to play these particular games. I'm going to have to find another game group for that experience.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's fine. And also, as hard as this might be, sometimes you have to go, this will never happen with my family. My family will never want to play games. Like, I think of
Warhammer.
But think of something you don't enjoy doing. Maybe you're not into sports. Maybe you're not into, I don't know, cars or whatever. So the idea of going and like fixing up an old clunker would never appeal to you.
Yeah. So
you will never want to spend your time doing that. It doesn't matter how excited your significant other is about that. Sometimes because it's your significant other, you can compromise around that. But maybe there's certain things you just will never get to. Maybe your family will never be into gaming. That's just the sad, hard truth. But I mean, you can make it easier, I think.
Do you think the theme is important? So let's say you're talking to someone who just never games,
right?
But they're really into baseball. Do you think pulling out something like Bottom of the Ninth is likely to be entertaining for them, or do you think they're just going to be like, I don't care if it's baseball themed, I still don't want to play games?
I think if you pick a theme that might appeal to them, you increase the odds. I think is what I'd say, because there's still the possibility they're going to be like, well, I just don't like games. This is a dumb activity, But so there's not much you can do about that. But maybe again, if they're into baseball, you're at least talking their language a little bit.
Yeah,
So. All right. I only have one other question here, but why don't we go to here and see what we can get from the
Horst, by the way, P.S. is Arn, who beat you at Thurn and Taxis.
Oh, yes. I think you were seated to my left, I believe, as we played. And Arn did a very nice job of teaching the game as well. It was nice. We had games that Geek Nation Tour supplied us with, so we'd have a game to play every day. And that was a particular game we played at Brave New World, which was a game store we attended. And Arn showed up, and I knew the rules. I was a little fuzzy because it was my first time playing, and he very kindly stepped in and sort of did the heavy lifting on the teach, which was great. And then swiftly kicked our butts, which was great.
I always love when someone else takes over teaching. Yeah. Because we teach games, so people will joke about that when I'm at game group. It's like, oh, you teach games, it should be easy for you. And it's like, yeah, but if you've played it 15 times, you'll probably teach it better than me.
Exactly. So you've got the experience.
I love the experience of teaching with 2 people, too, where I can teach, and then someone else can kind of chime in with, this is important, don't forget this kind of thing. And
having someone to cover the bases you might miss can be helpful. Sometimes you get cross-talk, and it can be kind of weird.
It can.
But you're right. No, it is helpful to have someone else at least to pick up the slack if there's something you're forgetting, right?
That being said, Horst wants to know, did you see the Cologne Cathedral from the Drachenfels when it has clear weather? Drachenfels, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Drachenfels. The Dragon Castle, I think, or Dragonfall or something.
Dragonfall.
Was I able to see it from Drachenfels? I don't remember that jumping out at me, so I don't think we saw it. Or if we did, it wasn't pointed out to me to be aware of it. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
But that was a cool location to go to. Got some good footage from there.
Oh, Mark Streed's in there. Hi, Mark Streed.
Hi, Mark.
I saw your name a couple times, though you didn't ask any questions. Question. Will you guys do any videos for Charterstone? Asked Jamie Adkins. We already did.
Well, we have a full tutorial video. We won't do gameplay for that game.
Spoilers.
There's enough spoilers in there. I'm sure there's some people who'd be like, well, I'll watch it because I'm not going to play anyway, or that doesn't bother me. But I think enough people wouldn't be interested in it that I'd be creating content that I think would be turning off a lot of people, potentially.
I think if we were to do something for something like that, or Risk Legacy, I think the only way we could do it would be to do more of a summary of the gameplay. and less of the full gameplay.
I mean, like the Dice Tower does this sort of thing. Like for Pandemic Legacy, they did a full playthrough, but then they also have like a review where they do a spoiler review and they do a non-spoiler review or something like that.
It'd be kind of cute to do a non-spoiler version of something like Charterstone. So you're watching the video and then it just comes like
beeps what you're saying.
Yeah, and like blacked off spots on the board.
It would be a mess. That's what it would be, just a fog. No current plans to do a playthrough of Charterstone, except personally, but not on camera.
Oh, someone's torturing me here.
Yes.
The Dice Matrix wants to know what my favorite game is that can be played solo.
Oh.
I specifically don't like solo games. So it's an interesting question. I think I would have to say... Oh, that was so close. I think I'd have to say Pathfinder.
Yes.
And
you realize you just answered a favorite question?
Oh, whoops.
I didn't stop you. I just wanted to see if his instincts would kick in. They did not. I'm the only thing keeping him.
But here, look, this is a trick. They didn't specify board game. And what I'm going to say is I have played it once solo with the board game, but generally I just play the app.
Right.
And I've played a lot of that app. So it would be disingenuous of me to say that that's not my most played solo game.
Right.
Because I've probably played 100 hours at least of just that solo.
I will say that soon on the channel, although I don't pre-announce games and so on, there is a game that I will be featuring, which is a solo game.
Oh.
So we'll keep an eye out for that. I don't even think I mentioned this to you yet.
I'm not sure. I don't think
or
so.
actually, you might. Well,
I might have forgotten.
You might have forgotten.
We'll confer later.
Yes, keep an eye out for that. Hopefully before the end of the year.
Hopefully. Oh, did I reach the bottom?
You might have reached the bottom.
Wow.
Let me see here.
We never do this.
This is great.
I went through.
We're ahead of schedule. Actually, we're right on schedule because in 6 minutes it'll have been an hour and a half. I know we started a little late, but
someone caught on to the fact that we're caught up in questions and asked a question. So, Chronotog Infinite asks, what are your opinions on purchasing multiple copies of a game? I love this.
Okay.
As either a value investment or in the case for legacy games to play through a second time, or in the case of something like a miniatures game to get extra copies of the miniatures or the cards or etc. They didn't say that. I just added that.
Well, what do I feel? Well, there's two things. One is sometimes I will buy the extra copies, like Arkham Horror LCG.
Yep.
Okay. The Fantasy Flight games are kind of notorious for they create a starter set that doesn't include the full complement of cards that you could potentially put in a deck. So then you're forced to buy multiple starter sets. I will say, I'll go on record saying I do not like that model. I wish they would at least release a secondary pack of some kind that would just fill in the cards you need so you're not rebuying all the tokens and the card.
Kind of like an upgrade pack.
An upgrade pack or something. I mean, you can still get my money from me if you must, but I'd prefer you had some kind of thing rather than you have to buy the full set again. Or just put it all in the set. Some games do that. I think that's a fine model.
Yeah.
But I've done it, so I guess I don't mind. So ultimately, their system works. Darn it, they got me. But yeah, I don't make a habit of it because money mainly.
Yeah.
Like if oftentimes when a game first comes out, let's say. What's a good example? I'm trying to think of something right now. Well, any kind of miniatures game, and it has a starter set, and the other miniatures aren't out yet. You're like, well, if I want to have a bigger army, I need to buy 2 of these starter sets. Well, that's true right now, but if you have a little bit of patience and you wait a few months, then you can fill in those ranks with all new models from expansion packs.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? And I'm the kind of person who will wait. Now, to be fair, I'm in a fortunate position. I do have a healthy game collection, so I have patience to wait because I got another game I can play in the meantime while I wait for other models to come out there, right? But I can appreciate if you're like, this is my one miniatures game and there's no other miniatures right now, I got to buy that other box set. Well, great. Hopefully you have a friend you can share them with or something, and you're getting your money's worth out of it because you're playing the game.
It's probably safe to say neither of us probably do it for the money or for the investment.
No,
they mentioned that. Yeah, I don't.
I've never bought a game and then bought a second copy to hang on to because I thought it would have value. I know people who do that and flip it. I don't have any issues with that particularly. I mean,
I don't do it for value, but I'll do it for friendship. If I.
Please explain.
So if I buy a particular game and I can think of extra people who I know will like it, but I'm not sure, I will sometimes buy 2 copies of the game.
Really?
Basically knowing that there's probably 3 different people that might like it, so at least one of the 3. I do it with video games all the time.
Okay, interesting.
If I buy like video game on Steam and there's an option for buying multiple copies, I'll often buy the multiple copies just with the idea that I can pass them on to friends.
That's a great idea. I mean, I've definitely bought multiple copies because I bought a copy of the game and then the person I played with maybe wasn't quote-unquote, a gamer,
Yeah.
and they really enjoy the game, so I'm like, well, look, this might be your gateway into the hobby. Take it, and then I'll just go buy it again later or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So...
And the other one, the other talk is of legacy games and whether you'd buy extra copies of those. My answer to that's going to probably no. I wouldn't buy an extra copy, but the only reason is once I'm done, let's say that was my copy.
Yes.
Once I'm done, I likely wouldn't play again unless it was somebody else's copy anyway.
Right.
So I would play a legacy game more than
second
once.
time, but maybe not your own copy.
Yeah, I wouldn't get another
point.
copy because I'd want to play with mostly different new people.
Yeah, people say like, well, once you play a legacy game, you can't play it again, and certainly there'd be some truth to the fact that there'd be some surprises you won't get. But I don't have like an incredible memory. So you give me 5 years, I could probably break out that game again and have just as good a time as the first time. Be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that thing that happened or whatever.
Well, and if the games are really holding up to their to what they're supposed to be, that you make choices and those choices are important and interesting, then technically if you go through and you make the opposite choice,
you're going to have a different experience.
Yeah, you should have a different experience. And you could probably subtly influence the group you're playing with to like, oh, let's not do that one.
Let's try something else.
Let's try something a little different.
Yeah. That's a great question, though. Yeah, really good. I saw the one tar in the chat just wanted to say hi, Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany has a question, too.
Oh, wonderful.
What are your thoughts on recycling or trashing games or parts of them, like ditching expansions, inserts?
Yeah, I ditch the expansion inserts, and sometimes I throw them, but sometimes I keep them. Sometimes I keep those expansion boxes, not because I'm going to, I don't know, put it on a shelf somewhere to display it, but sometimes those really good quality boxes I keep because they're good for storing components in when I travel, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I've gone to a trip and I'm like, I have this really great game I want to take, but this box is really nice and I don't want it to get all dinged up. So I'll put it inside of this other game box that's like the same size, but it's like from an expansion or something, and I'll use it as kind of storage that way. I'll pack gifts in them sometimes. Boxes, I'll use them as a storage system that way. What about you?
I keep everything, basically.
Actually, everything I don't use, I just give them to Pep, including like the punch boards that you punched all the tokens out of. Pep will take those home with him because he's
I'll use them for designing games or just for like arts and crafts. And so I love having the extra boxes because same thing, I'll store things in them. If I have like a D&D campaign, I might store it in a box. So I do that quite a bit. So I try to keep holding it. I don't do what a lot of people do where you keep them in the box. I'm uncomfortable with that. Like you pull out all the inserts, then you pop them back into the box, like underneath the game trays and stuff like that. I don't like doing that, but.
Well, there's only one reason to do that. Do you know what the reason is?
Some games are designed that way, but not all are.
Well, so it elevates the thing so that there's no wiggle room at the top.
Yeah,
you know
but not all. Some you don't need to do that.
Oh yeah, in which case I don't throw them in.
I was down at the bottom, so it went on a little bit. I think that's again the last question. Wow.
Yeah, expansion boxes, like I used to keep them all because I kind of liked the artwork on them or whatever, and to display them on a shelf. But as time's gone on and the collection has grown a little bit, I prefer to have it in the core box so that when I play that game, I don't have to root around for the expansion somewhere. You know what I mean?
I just like this comment, so I'm going to read it. Lead Guitar 2 says, I thought when I logged on, you were playing Connect 4. I was so excited, hoping that you'd be doing a teaching session for it. It's just so difficult to grasp.
Connect 4? Does this look like Connect 4?
Kind of from the side. Like if you look on the screen, it looks kind of like it might be a Connect 4.
Well, we're getting to the end of this live show, but let me just give our little gymnastic here, a little stretch of the legs. Let's see if we can get another. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, ask them now while we're doing this. Oh, again,
so close.
All right, I need to figure out how to calm down when I'm doing this.
All right, here we go. I don't know what you do, but like he does like an amazing pirouette, spin, flip around.
If I land, I should get like 10 points.
Bonus points. Yeah. The style is phenomenal. I don't know how you're making it happen like that. I mean, he's rocking.
I don't know.
Okay, let me see if I can at least do whatever Pep's
doing.
Mimic
the craziness.
Create the Pep flip. So this game I was able to find on, I ordered it on Amazon while I was in Germany.
Oh, there you
go. Because it was all sold out at Essen. I would have bought it there, but it was sold out entirely.
Trying to put them on backwards?
I was trying to put them on backwards.
That'd be impressive.
That would not work. Let me just do one sort of sensible flip. Come on, little guy.
I have landed this before because I've played this before.
I've never seen you do it, so I don't know if that's true. Here we go. Nope. No, too far. Well, listen. I'm just going to quickly look here to see if any questions. If we don't, then I'll wrap this up, and of course, I'll say a big, big thank you to everybody for joining us once again.
I have a question.
Oh, Jamie Adkins has a question here.
Okay.
Oh yes, Sean is trying to ask questions. Yes, put a big question. The word "question" in all caps in front of your question helps me see them. All right, so Sean.
What happened to, was it Justin from earlier that we banned?
Jacob.
That we test banned. Is he back?
Well, we.
Oh, is that him, Jacob Jackson?
No.
I guess there's probably more than one person named Jacob.
There's more than one Jacob. What Pep's referring to there is during our test footage, if you hold down Alt now while you're in the chat as the moderator or as the person running the channel, you can block someone, ban someone, or put them in timeout. Puts them out of chat for 300 seconds. So we did that to somebody, and then we canceled the chat before we found out if he got back or not.
Yeah, so hopefully it didn't permanently lock him out. I'm curious if the super backer thing works. We didn't get any.
Donations. I'm sure it does.
Because I could have sworn I remember there being an extra little
it's right there.
Thing down
That's
there.
it. If you click
on that,
what happens
if you click it?
See, I can send it.
You can send it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Michael Vinoy asks, question, Rodney, have you got your demo of Scarlet Pimpernel yet? No, I have not. I'm very disappointed with that. I've only seen pictures of it. I was hoping to find it at Essen Spiel. I did not. That was the novel I took with me and read on my flight there. I got a few more chapters through. Scarlet Pimpernel was just one of my favorite movies as a kid. I don't know why. It's a weird one for a kid to be into because it was like an old black and white movie. But I really enjoyed that movie quite a bit. And I'm enjoying reading through the book. And I hope the game is good. I don't know if they can really bring the theme alive or not, but even if it's just enjoyable, I'll have fun kind of playing in that world a little bit.
Sean.
Yes.
Sean Mayer wants to know. Says, huge Star Wars fan. Do you guys have a Star Wars game on your shelf? Rebellion, X-Wing, Destiny? Yes.
Destiny, I have remnants of it. I went all in on Destiny, Star Wars Destiny. I bought multiple boosters, and then Jamie recently commented on the Secret Cabal Game podcast that a whole bunch of us were into it. We were actually playing it over Skype. We had little mini tournaments and all the rest of it. And then one guy dropped out, and I dropped out, and what happened? He wanted to know. For me, I'll tell you what happened. The collectible model just doesn't work for my personality type.
You want it all.
I want it all. I don't know. I'm not one of those people who's I gotta have every promo for every game or whatever. But if there's core elements of the game and a CGG, these are the core elements of the game, the cards and the dice and all the rest of it. I kind of go I want to have it all so that if I do decide to build this wacky deck that suddenly becomes viable, I can pluck those cards out and use them, even though they're not something I would use right now. That's a dumb way to be, honestly. The better way is just go, hey, I've got what I got enough to play with, and who cares? But that's sort of how I'm built a little bit, so that model doesn't work for me in the long run.
If you're a Pokemon trainer, your feet would be bleeding. Because you got to catch them all. There's 150, and now there's 890, and you'd be like,
many. No more. So for me, it's just
carry them all with you at all times.
I think there's a little bit of a pushback too I have because hey, we've seen the LCG model. It works. Yeah. Just do that, please. You don't have to chase me to go down and grab rares and stuff. I think I got that high as a kid, and I still get that high now. When I got that booster box and I ripped open the packs, felt good to find those cool cards in there.
Oh yeah.
But it felt good for that 20 minutes, and then afterwards, when you're getting your 5th Jedi Robes copy, it's why did I spend all this money again?
If it were easier to get a hold of packs, I probably would have got into it too. But the few times that I decided, maybe I'll get into this, they were sold out. So
it was very hard to get. And now, it's
because getting dice mixed in with packs. I've always said I would love to have some sort of a collectible dice game.
Yes.
So
actually having one was there too for a while.
Oh yeah.
And they still got loads of that. But again, that collectible model is just kind of what was a little bit of a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Star Wars games though, Star Wars Risk, I have.
Oh yes. I don't think I have any Star Wars games.
And Star Wars Rebellion, I've got that. Don't have the expansion yet.
I have Star Realms.
Yeah.
Star Trek?
That's not the same.
Star Trek?
Nope,
no
it doesn't count. It doesn't count. So, Sean, there's the answer to your question, hopefully. And X-Wing. I've got X-Wing as well. Don't play that as often as I'd like, but I do have it. Okay, one last question.
Oh, I might as well finish them off real
Jacob Jackson. Well, I think that's the last question, isn't it?
There's also one by Jeremy Smith.
Sorry, go ahead.
Will both of you be working on future collaborations with the Secret Cabal? And is there any in the making?
I'm always interested in working on stuff with the Secret Cabal. Recently, they did their Halloween episode, live drama reading. Not live, but drama reading, and I was a part of that. as Dr. Burke, and that was a lot of fun. And I certainly hope to do more things in the future. We did Tabletop Showcase together. If you're wondering what's going on with Tabletop Showcase, well, we're just waiting to find that next great game. We almost had one, and it didn't quite work out. But we're going to keep looking for the next great game that we think would be a good fit for that particular platform, and that would be an opportunity for us to work together.
And I'd always be up for it. Yeah,
and Pep's always up for stuff.
Yeah,
he's got lots of pep. Jacob Jackson asked, any advice for teaching heavier games? Do you teach just the basics and start playing and teach as you go? Of course, if there's a watch play video, you send them to that. That's very kind of you to say, Jacob. My tip there is this is such a difficult thing to answer because there's not like a one-size-fits-all solution here.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it does depend on your game group. A lot of the times it does depend on the game. My biggest tip is that you be super prepared, that you know the game inside and out. Don't go into it like having watched half of a video, or even even having watched a watch it played video. If it's a big heavy game and there's some complexity to it, take a good look through that rule book as well, because during that teach you're not necessarily going to want to pop the video on and try to dig through and find the answer to your question. Know the rule book so you can quickly flip to that thing that you might have a question about, right?
Yeah, and I think knowing ahead of time what you're stuck on is probably good, because I have to say, if someone's teaching me a game and they have to open the rule book 4 to 5 times during teaching the game,
you start to lose confidence in them, right?
Yeah, I lose confidence. I've said to people before, like, can I just look at the rule book?
Yeah, because you have to, clearly, so maybe I should be checking it out. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think you want to exude confidence so that people trust what you're telling them, right?
Yeah. If you can play smaller, crunchier, or smaller, less crunchy bits of the game first, do it. Like, a lot of heavier games do have like a basic game.
Oh, yes.
And some people, including me, are very adamantly against playing a basic game when there's a non-basic game available. But if it's your first time and it's your first time teaching, maybe try teaching that way.
Yeah.
Because that way everyone gets into it, and then they'll want to play another game, and they'll be open to learning the rules instead of just being thrown in.
I will sacrifice the full game experience for the sake of having an easier teach.
Yeah.
Even if I know like we're not seeing some of the cool stuff this game has to offer, at least we're all playing the game and figuring out the rules, and then we're ready hopefully for the next one, as opposed to like head scratching and pulling through the rule book. The other thing I would say, my other common tip is try to teach the game out loud by yourself. I know you'll feel dorky, but try it. Try to talk out loud the way you would teach the game, because you will trip over certain words, you will forget things, you'll repeat yourself multiple times, and that thing you just did is what you're about to do to your friends. Yeah. You don't want that for them. So goof up on your own privately and feel like an idiot there, and then be like, oh, you know what? I think I figured out some things to allow me to teach this better. Because people at conventions who demo games, and Tiffany here, who's in the chat, she'd tell you this, I'm pretty sure. You can confirm, or I might be wrong here, who's demoed lots of games, I think it shows as well. The 5th or 6th time you've given that demo, you're starting to get a pattern down. You're starting to figure out where the rough edges are. You're starting to smooth them out. You're finding more efficient ways of explaining it. So if you can do a little bit of that practice yourself, do some of that heavy lifting, it'll make that heavy game a little easier for everybody else to bear. So, yeah. So did we catch up?
No, there's 3 things.
Oh, wait, now.
One is Eric Booth wants to know, does it make you feel bad that I am a much snazzier dresser than you?
Look, it does. We were setting up here. I was in a wicked tear. I got here 15 minutes late. That's why we were a little late starting. I was focused on getting everything set up. And I turn over, about to go live. I'm like, oh my gosh, Pep, you look so good.
It's true. And then you try to force the hat on my head and ruin my hair.
Yeah, where's the hat? There we go. Put the hat back on. I need my Party Rock glasses.
There they are.
All right, before we sign off. And Tiffany, I see you calling out my name and trying to give me some tips here. Don't worry, I'm catching that. Thank you for this.
Yeah, apparently that person might be banned permanently, so we'll have to look into that.
Eric Viola asks, have you played London much since your How to Play vid? Any chance of you doing any vids for future Martin Wallace games, like Brass? Well, again, our classic answer on we do not pre-announce games or gameplays because things might change, and I don't like to disappoint. But I will tell you, have I played London? Yeah, I played it a bunch.
Oh, yeah?
I went to the...
I would love to play it more.
Well, listen, I'm up for it anytime. I went to HowlCon, and I played it multiple times there. When I went to Essen, I packed it in my bag and brought it with me. When I was at Shucks, I brought it with me there and played it there. Yeah, it's getting a lot of play at the table. All right.
You should have tried to play it in London.
So apparently, the person I banned says... Now, okay, Tiffany, to be clear, I didn't ban. I put them in timeout. And what it said was, when I put them in timeout, is it says they'll be locked out for 300 seconds.
Yes.
A little notice came up. So my sense is that after 300 seconds, because it was a timeout, not a ban, that they're back in. But of course, I don't know if he's here. He could be here and banned.
And if you are, very sorry.
He has my cell number though, so he can text me. I did do this test on somebody I at least knew. So I hope he's not permanently banned. Anyway, listen, we should wrap up here. Once we get to the end, I just want to keep talking to everybody. And
all right, 2 more each.
2 more each. All right,
yeah.
2 more. Flip-a-boos, and you might have a question you sneak in there. Okay, so yeah, Tiffany's saying timeout's fine, so it sounds like we're good. Oh, I guess I got distracted. Ah, come on. Oh, so close, so close.
That could have just been the
He broke his ankle. He landed and just rolled his ankle. All right, I'll keep an eye on the questions while you flip. All right. Jamie Atkins, did we launch our rocket this weekend? What are you launching rockets for, Jamie? I want to know what that's all about. Okay. So, you're going again. You go again. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, it felt like he was late. He was late.
He didn't spin sideways.
Yeah,
too.
and he didn't fly way off the map. Like he at least was. Okay. Come on, guy. Let's end on a high note here. You can do this. Oh, he just
can't do this.
Oh, no. He doesn't want to let go. One more time. Come on, buddy. Do it for me. One more time. No, I can't do it.
I mean, you still win with 25 points.
I do. I win with the 25 points. It's one game I beat you at, Pep. All right, let's do it. One more time. Come on. Yes, we did it.
We did it. Oh, that's actually hard.
We end on a high note.
It's exactly.
It's about 50-50.
I think it's 25 though. So I think you have.
You just couldn't get it.
You did your third. I get one more. If I can hit the 100 here,
then you win.
Then I win.
And if you get 50, you tie.
And I tie. And then we'll have to keep going.
Oh gosh, no. We're ending this. After this flip. I promise, everybody. Come on. Phil, you were close. You're on target. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody. Woo! Oh, Pep, you did it. I can't believe it. Everybody, thanks again for joining us. I don't know if we lost like 20 minutes of this video like we did one time when we lost it.
Well, we might have. That could be why the questions kind of died in the middle. People probably would have said something.
I think so. Who knows? But listen, I appreciate you joining us again. Thanks for putting up with any kind of delays we're having. I don't know how to fix that except probably more hardware and more money. So you have to probably bear with this less than ideal, perfect live streaming, but hopefully in the future we can get it cleared up. And listen, you can count on Party Rock coming back. I love these glasses. So I'm sorry, Pep. Party Rock will be back.
Party Rock is
until the next episode. Thanks for watching.
I forgot where the camera was for a second.
Yeah, we got to turn this off. All right, everybody.
Thanks for watching.